Appalachian State kicks off the Sun Belt tournament against Coastal Carolina here today. I'm Joshua Cormire alongside Appalachian State head coach Angel Elderkin. And coach, before we dive into this tournament, your team has already sort of played a win-or-clinch type game against South Alabama last time to clinch that fifth seed. Talk about the mentality of your team coming in there knowing win gets them that fifth seed and then pulling it off.
Yeah, I was extremely proud of our team from the standpoint of the pressure of going on the road and knowing what was at stake and being able to go in on somebody else's home court who've been very good, top opponent, and be able to get to secure the win. That had a tournament feel all in itself, and hopefully that momentum carries us into today for today's contest. But there was definitely a lot at stake. You know, we talked about it. We were transparent, and I think our kids really, wanted it. They stayed together, and they fought for 40. Wasn't pretty. We didn't do a lot of things well, but we did enough to win.
You're the fifth seed in the Sun Belt tournament, the highest seed that you've ever had in the Sun Belt tournament before. Talk about your season as a whole going into this conference tournament where your team doubled their Sun Belt wins from a year ago, got Maddie, got Ashley, and just the overall growth of this team.
Yeah, it's a lot to do with our experience. I think we were really young. We know we were young last year, and we went through a lot of different things. But this year, as we prepared, there was a team that was more focused, a team that was locked in, and a team that overall just developed better habits. They were familiar with where the team wanted to go. We gave them kind of a roadmap, and they followed it, and then that resulted in a better season for us. I think throughout the season we still grew, we still were learning. We still took some losses that we're not happy with, but like I told them for today, some of those experiences are what makes today great. As the league as a whole, I think anybody, it could have been anybody's. I would even throw fourth in there, from 4 to 9. And so I think that's going to make our tournament really interesting. And I try to express that again to our team, that we don't take the seeding for granted. I really want our teams to play with an underdog mentality.
Well, you're facing a Coastal team that you've already faced twice this year, and one of those disappointing losses was to Coastal the second time around. Do you think it helps your team more that you faced them twice and had that one loss?
Absolutely. We learned a lot about our team in that loss. That was one of the post-game talks that I was probably the most animated and probably the most disappointed, just in terms of how casual we were. But then when you go back as a coach, you watch film and you're like, we didn't do a good job with our transition D. We weren't watching it good enough on the bench. So there were things from that game that we then changed about our transition D to finish the Sun Belt that actually helped us. And that's what I kind of shared. It's not just about players' experience. It's also about from a coaching staff experience. We didn't have a zone in when we played them, not one that I was comfortable going to. Now, today, we have, a zone that if the post players are hurting us, if DJ's penetration's hurting us, we have a different look, a rhythm changer to go to. So those were things we didn't have, and those were things that after that game I felt like we needed to have to compete with the top teams in the Sun Belt.
Speaking on the defensive side of the ball, and DJ Williams, she missed the last couple of games but actually returned for that play-in game against Arkansas State. What are you going to do defensively to match well with DJ Williams, try and prevent her from scoring the way she has against your team? You obviously have the zone. You also have to guard other three-point shooters like a Roche as well. What are you going to do defensively here today?
The big thing is transition, and it's funny to talk about the defense, but on the offensive side of the ball, we got to take really good shots, and we can't turn it over. Generally, if DJ's able to get the rebound or create a turnover, she excels in the transition game. So she gets out, gets a piece of the paint. She's either scoring in the paint or she's kicking out to her buddy Roche for a three. And so our defense for her starts on the offensive side of the ball. We get her in a half-court game. We have to load up on her. We have to force tough twos, but we also have to be mindful of where Roche is at all times. She does a great job finding her. It was interesting when she was out. Everybody was like, oh, they still have Roche. It's interesting how less of open looks she got without DJ on the court. So biggest thing, if we can eliminate those transition buckets and keep her in the half court, I think we can contain her with Maddie. Maddie's length will bother her. I think what has hurt us with them, though, they throw her in the post, and then now we're trying to get Laney to match up with her. So, we just got to be ready for everything, and I really think the zone could be something that could contain her.
It's an earlier game than your team is used to, and even past is going to be a game each day. How do you think your team's going to respond to that?
They understand why we're here. They understand that this is, you got to earn the right to play another 40 minutes. So the game time, the game location, none of that matters. What I think is going to be a different thing for us, we're usually playing and then having a day off. So we won't have that, but we will adjust, and we earn ourselves another 40 minutes of basketball. We will be ready in 24 hours for another 40 minutes of basketball. If
you win, you keep going. If you lose, your team is out of the tournament. Any final thoughts before today's game? What are you going to tell your team entering this tournament?
I told them that they need to play with a chip on their shoulder. I think I said it earlier. I want our team to play like we're the last seed and we're underdogs and we're earning everything, and just give all-out effort of being all in and not talking so much about scoring the ball, but the loose balls, the charges, the dives, the extra possessions, the extra effort, and just to always remind them to be where their feet are. We can't have tomorrow without today, so let's be the best we can be today.
Thank you, Coach, and we'll talk to you after the game.
Thanks.